Hello students, today we will be discussing about methods to finance working capital. Here we will discuss how you will be financing, you will be approaching towards the calculation and ways to finance working capital for a company or an enterprise. Uh, One thing you should keep in mind that whatever you are studying in this method, like financing of working capital is actually not very useful if you are appearing for RRB exam. But if you are appearing for scale 2, 3 and other credit officer exams of any other bank, other public sector banks, this is the most important topic you should know. Further, if you are appearing for internal promotion exams of any bank, specifically public sector banks, this is the one of the most important topic. You shouldn't left it untouched. So we will be moving towards our discussion and method to finance working capital. Working capital क्या होता है? What is working capital? How we finance? हम इसको किस तरह से कैलकुलेट करते हैं, किस तरह से इसकी लिमिट डिसाइड करते हैं और कंपनी से जो भी प्रपोजल्स हमारे पास हैं उसको किस तरह से हाउ वी सैंक्शन इट. Further, we will be see first the NAYAK committee, Tandon committee, and other methods includes cash budgets or method 3, which is not very much used. They here is about myself, and we shouldn't waste our time telling that I am this, I am that, blah blah blah. You should know this. The PDF of this session has already been shared in the paid group. If you are willing to get this PDF, you should text in the comment box, and you should through the comments, through the text, I will be texting you back regarding the ways in which you can access these PDFs. Now, what are the common guidelines? Before we go through the methods of working capital finance, we must know that what are the common guidelines for MSMEs, micro, small, and medium enterprises. Further, due to some technical issues, I am not taking live class now. For 4 or 5 lectures, this will be shared over the YouTube. Thereafter, we will be continuing our class as usual. Okay. Hopefully, you are seeing this. Issue of acknowledgement of loan applications to MSME borrowers. Not only to MSME borrowers, you should issue acknowledgement of all loan requests. It is the guidelines, it is the direction of Reserve Bank of India and as a best practices code to issue acknowledgement to any applications for MSME borrowers so that they can track their applications or their waiting list. What are the requirement of collateral? You know that up to 10 lakhs there is no collateral requirement. There is no requirements. What does it means? Means you shouldn't insist a collateral, but if collateral is available to you, you can easily take it. Okay, there is nothing bad in taking the collateral, but if MSME is not able to provide a collateral against the loan the enterprise is asking for, you shouldn't insist the collateral. Single window facility for composite loans to MSME. There should be a single window facility for composite loans to MSMEs. Means there should be an integrated table where all things should be managed. Now, what has been advised by Prime Minister's task force on MSME? You know that the government, not from today, since it has been a long time, Government is focusing on micro, small and medium enterprises because they form a major part of our industry, and they are majorly contributing towards our economy. Therefore, it has been decided. And further, these are also providing employment to some some area where employment is not easily possible. Okay, to engage in some activities. That's why they are promoting the MSMEs. What are the guidelines? 20% year on year growth in credit to micro enterprises means every year the banks, the financial institutions should be there should be 20% year on year growth means if in the last year it was the 100 crores, in this year it must be at least 120 crores. Years on year growth in the credit means it is the outstanding. 10% annual growth rate in the number of micro enterprise accounts means if total number of micro enterprises taking the loan or any other facilities with you were 20 the last year, it must be 10% of this will be 2. Okay, then 2. This year it will be 20 plus 2 means there should be 22 accounts at least this year means total, and this year you need to open at least 22 accounts, then only it will be not the 2. Okay, not the 2. Now 60% of total lending to MSE sector as of the corresponding quarter of the previous year to micro enterprises means 60% of the total lending to corresponding quarter means if in the first quarter there was 100 crores of the loan, then 60% of the last year means 60 crores lending will go to MSA sector this year. Now, specialized MSME branches, as per guidelines, public sector banks are advised to open at least one specialized MSME branches where 60% or more of advances are to MSME sector. Okay. Now, one minute. BCSBI. What is BCSBI? BCSBI is actually is a code of commitment which defines and you should know banking codes and standards boards of India. It defines a particular set of rules guidelines, although it is not mandatory because but it is expected. It is expected the banks will be operating through fair practices code. Now let's zoom this. Code of commitment, code of banks commitment to micro and small enterprises, which sets minimum standards practices for member banks to follow when they are dealing with micro and small enterprises. Minimum set of standards through which the banks will be following while dealing with the micro and small enterprises. Uh, Further, I will be sharing this PDF. You should study rest of this. We will just move towards what are the approaches. Cluster approach. Cluster approach was as per Ganguly committee recommendations. This is important that the question may come that cluster approach were made on the basis of Ganguly committee recommendations. Okay, In this cluster approach, banks are advised to extend banking services to recognized MSE clusters. जो भी बैंकिंग सर्विसेज हैं वो MSE क्लस्टर्स के थ्रू आइडेंटिफाई करना है और उनको देना है. नाउ Ministry of Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises has provided list of clusters. तो जो clusters MSME के हैं, ओके, MSC clusters जो हैं वो who will decide, ओके, MSE clusters, MSE clusters, who will identify the cluster? Micro, small and medium enterprises clusters. कौन डिसाइड करेगा? वो मिनिस्ट्री डिसाइड करेगी. ओके, under scheme of fund for Spurti program. It is also known as Spurti SF. Scheme of fund is SFURTI. It has been asked in the exam. Okay, what do you mean by U in Spurti? SMURTI. It may be asked. Okay, scheme of, actually it is not U. It is SFURTI. Huh? Scheme of fund for regeneration of, okay, micro and medium enterprises. ठीक है, under cluster development program in 121 minority concentration districts. There are 121 minority concentration districts where it is used. Now पेमेंट, रिसेंटली इट वाज आल्सो इन द न्यूज, इट में बी आस्क्ड. अभी कुछ दिनों पहले ये रूल अभी रोक दिया गया है. दिस वाज द गाइडलाइन कि अगर आप एमएसएमई से कोई भी कॉन्ट्रैक्ट करते हैं सर्विसेज का किसी भी चीज का, 45 डेज के अंदर आपको पेमेंट करना पड़ेगा. यू नीड टू पे विद इन 45 डेज. ओके, 45 डेज में आपको पेमेंट करना पड़ेगा. Rest of the things are quoted in the PDF. You should go through this. Further important definitions to be known, we should start our calculations of working capital and methods to finance the working capital. We will be moving through this. How? We will see. What is the working capital? Working capital क्या होता है? Okay. What working capital is? Working capital is the requirement to create the current assets and day-to-day expenses to, in a short, you can say that the day-to-day expenses. What are day-to-day expenses? Day-to-day expenses. Okay. Suppose there is a company. It is a manufacturing company. It manufactures something made of glass. Then this company will purchase some raw material, process the raw material, turn into goods, and then turns goods into finished goods, then sell, then it will get the money. Okay. From the purchase of raw material, since the sale of goods, there is requirement of fund, and this fund is called as the working capital requirement. Why? This also includes the salary of employees because they are also working. Now, see, suppose the firm A has purchased raw material of rupees 50,000, okay, and produced all it into goods. Then all such current assets will be as working capital. Okay, working capital. And now it is also called as the gross working capital. Gross working capital means what are the total of current assets. I expect that you people might be knowing what are the current what is the meaning of asset and what is the meaning of current asset. Current assets, you can say that anything which will be changing its form specifically and especially into receivable as a cash and liquid asset uh, within a year, it is called as the current asset. Okay. Net working capital or working capital gap. Working capital, working capital gap. This is the another thing. Working capital is nothing but the difference of current asset and current liability is working capital gap. Suppose if current assets are 60 and current liabilities are 40, then working capital gap will be 20. Working capital refers the total amount of current assets in a business cycle. What is the business cycle? Business cycle means when uh, the process starts, manufacturing process starts, the beginning of the process, and the last it is ended into a sale. Now, net working capital or working capital gap refers the difference of current assets and current liability. It can be formulated as net working capital is current asset minus current liability. In this current liability, we always exclude the bank borrowings because we are calculating the bank borrowings. Okay. Suppose current assets are 60, current liability other than bank borrowing 20, okay, and bank borrowing 10. Then we won't include this into a current liability while calculating the working capital gap. Here the working capital gap will be merely 60 minus 20 is equal to 40. Now, what will be the fate of this 10? This already be included as a bank finance already available. Working group to review the credit guarantee scheme for micro and small enterprises. A working group constituted by RBI under the chairmanship of VK Sharma, okay, to see the credit guarantee scheme for micro and small enterprises. Now we will be studying working capital assessment methods. So here we are at the core portion. This is the NAYAK committee. NAYAK committee. Before you go through assessing the working capital, you must know what is the turnover. Okay. Turnover actually refers the sales. The total sales will be the turnover of company. Okay. The turnover has some types. You must know what the turnovers are. See, projected turnover. What do you mean by projected turnover? Any place, while it is a NAYAK committee or Tandon committee or any other, when we will be talking about turnover, there we will be talking about projected turnover. Okay. Projected turnover means in the next financial year, what might be the expected sales of that company. Now we will be moving towards what are the NAYAK committee. Their NAYAK committee was chaired by PR Nayak. There is one PJ Nayak also. You shouldn't get confused with this. For the working capital finance, the method was PR Nayak, not PJ Nayak. It was formulated in 1991, which was chaired by PJ Nayak, and specifically it was for micro and small enterprises. What is the limit? Earlier it was when sales or projected sales is 2 crores. Later it was revised to 5 crores. Then some of the banks is revised, and it is also, some banks are giving taking treating it up to 7 crores. Up to is this. Okay. Here the word up to is used. Now see, in any loan component, there are two factors. What the two factors? See, in any loan component, there are two factors which specifically tell us how the financing is being done. In such a facility, there is a term known as margin. The another term is known as funding. Margin is the contribution from the entity itself, like individual or proprietor or the company. Funding by sanctioned funding, okay, it is by the bank or financial institution. See what NAYAK committee says. NAYAK committee says if the working capital requirement working capital requirement will be 25% of the projected annual turnover. 25% of projected annual turnover means 25% is 1 by 4th of turnover. See what does 1 by 4th means? Fourth here refers the 4 cycles. 4 business cycle means in a year the company, you already know there are every company has a 4 business cycle. Why? Because it has 4 accounting periods during a financial year. Quarter 1, quarter 2, quarter 3 and quarter 4 is the final. What does this method say? This method says that you finance for this quarter, any of this quarter, okay, for say Q1. Then it will be roughly as 1 by 4, out of which 5% of the amount to be shared by the owner. नायक कमेटी का मेथड ये है. लेट मी एक्सप्लेन इन हिंदी आल्सो फॉर सम हिंदी स्टूडेंट्स, हिंदी मीडियम स्टूडेंट्स. दे may not be able to understand it at all. What नायक कमेटी सेज? नायक कमेटी ये कहती है कि अगर आपका प्रोजेक्टेड टर्नओवर जितना है उसका 1 by 4th आप फाइनेंस करोगे, ठीक है, और जिसमें से 1 by 4th मीन्स 25% आप फाइनेंस करोगे, जिसमें से 20% तो बैंक दे देगा और 5% आपको लगाना होगा. ओके, सपोज फॉर एग्जाम्पल a company A has projected annual turnover for 2024-25 is 100 crores. Then what will be its working capital? See, what does it says? It says working capital will be 25%. Okay, out of which 20% will be from bank and 5% will be from borrower. Okay, now see, 100 crores 25% कितना हो गया? इट इज 25 crore. ओके, आउट ऑफ दिस 20%. ओके, 20%, 100 का 20% कितना हुआ? 20, एंड 5% ऑफ दिस 100 इज 5. मीन्स दिस 20% विल बी फाइनेंस्ड बाय बैंक. मीन्स आपको बैंक दे देगा 20 crore, और 5 crore आपको अपने पास से लगाना पड़ेगा. इस तरह से आपकी टोटल वर्किंग कैपिटल कितनी होगी? 25 crore. See, if during the exam it comes, what is the bank finance? Then it is a 20 crore. What is the working capital limit? It is the 25 crore. What is the borrower's contribution or margin? It is 5 crore. Okay, we will also do some questions based on this at the end of the session. More on turnover method, like more on some explanatory things is given. Calculation basis, the working capital limits are determined at a minimum of 20% of the projected annual turnover for both new and existing units. Okay, means 20% will be bank finance. Note that this is not the working capital. Working capital is always 25% of the projected annual turnover. Okay, do not read it as PAT, because PAT in accounting terms known as profit after taxes. 20% is the bank finance and 5% is the margin which will be shared by the borrower. Suppose, let me do some questions. See, suppose if there is 100 crores, no, not 100 crores, this is 120 crores. प्रोजेक्टेड टर्नओवर कितना है? प्रोजेक्टेड टर्नओवर 120 crores है. तो बैंक फाइनेंस कितना होगा? इसका 20%. इसका 20% कितना हो गया? मीन्स 120/5. करेक्ट, it is the 20%. And 5%, what will be the 5%? इसका 120 into 5/100. Okay, you can also say that it is 120 divided by 20. It is 6. It will be the 5% will be 6. मीन्स 20% कितना हो गया एनुअल टर्नओवर का? 24 crore. और 5% कितना हो गया? ये हो गया 6 crore. वर्किंग कैपिटल कितना हो गया? टोटल 25%. मीन्स 24 + 6 इज इक्वल टू 30 crore. तो इसका वर्किंग कैपिटल कितना हो गया? 30 crore. मीन्स 25% इसका देखिए, 120 into 1/4, it is 30. Here it is also 30. But what is the bank finance? Bank finance is only 20%. Borrower's contribution is only 5%. 20% of the what? 20% of the projected annual turnover. It comes out to be 24, and the 5% it also comes out to be 6 of it is also of projected annual turnover, which we will be adding this 24 and 6, we will get 30. Okay, this is all about NAYAK committee, and now we will do some questions based on NAYAK committee. If it is there, let us see. Okay, there is a question. See, this question you need to see. See, ABC company projects its annual turnover to be rupees, okay, 50 lakhs. Okay, rupees 50 lakhs for the upcoming financial year. The bank applies a turnover based percentage of 25% to determine permissible bank finance. Okay, calculate the required bank finance using turnover method. तो टर्नओवर मेथड से बैंक फाइनेंस कितना आता है? टर्नओवर मेथड में वर्किंग कैपिटल होता है 25%, जिसमें से बैंक फाइनेंस आता है बैंक फाइनेंस कितना आता है 20%, और मार्जिन कितना आता है, margin comes out to be 5%. Okay. Now, bank finance will be 20% of this. 5, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 into 20 by 100. It will be the bank finance. Okay. Now, it will be 10 and 5 zeros. See, what will be borrower's margin in this? In this, it will be a 5%. Means 5, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 into 5 by 100. It will be this, and it will be 25 and 4 times 0. Okay. Now, total will be 25% of this. Total, what will be the total total working capital? Total working capital will be this amount plus borrower's margin, means 10 this and 25 this, 2,50,000. Okay. And 10 lakhs this, 10 lakhs and 2 lakhs this, 12 lakhs, 12 lakhs 50,000 will be working capital. ओके, फिर से देखते हैं व्हाट द क्वेश्चन, क्वेश्चन क्या बोल रहा है, क्वेश्चन ये बोल रहा है कि आपके पास एबीसी एक सी एबीसी एक कंपनी है जिसका एनुअल टर्नओवर 50 लाख है, 50 लाख, 5 और 6 जीरो, 5। अब ये बोल रहा है बैंक फाइनेंस कितना होगा, तो टर्नओवर मेथड से वर्किंग कैपिटल तो आती है 25% ऑफ द एनुअल प्रोजेक्टेड टर्नओवर, तो 25% होता है 1/4। अगर हम 50 लाख का 50 लाख का 1/4 निकालेंगे, ओके, डिवाइडेड बाय 4 अगर ये करेंगे आ जाएगा, ओके, 12,50,000। ये हो जाएगी उसकी पूरी वर्किंग कैपिटल, जो वर्किंग कैपिटल। नाउ बैंक फाइनेंस कितना होता है, बैंक फाइनेंस होता है केवल 20%। 20% इसका नहीं, 20% जिसका हम निकाल रहे हैं, कैलकुलेट कर रहे हैं एनुअल टर्नओवर का, तो 20% होता है 1/5। सिंपल सी बात है, अगर 1/5 इसमें करोगे, 50 का 1/5 हो गया 10, तो 10 लाख हो जाएगा। मीन्स बैंक फाइनेंस हो जाएगा 50 lakhs डिवाइडेड बाई 5, हो गया 10 lakhs। ओके, नाउ मार्जिन कितना लेगा बारोवर को, क्यों, क्योंकि वर्किंग कैपिटल तो हमारे पास 12,50,000 की आ रही है, लेकिन बैंक केवल 10 ही लाख देगा, तो आप ये 2,50,000 बारोवर को अपने पास से लगाना पड़ेगा, जिसको बोलते हैं मार्जिन। ओके, तो 2,50,000 हो जाएगा इसका 5%। ओके, 5 का ये हो गया 5, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 इंटू 5 डिवाइडेड बाई 100, this and this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 25, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, 2,50,000 should be borrower's contribution, 10 lakhs will be bank finance. If we will add this and this, we get 12,50,000 as working capital, and 20 this 10 lakhs as a bank finance. What is the margin? 2,50,000. Hope you got it, and it was easy to calculate. Now next question, what is this? The projected annual turnover of XYZ Private Limited is rupees 1 crore, means rupees 1 crore. Okay, 1 crore. A crore has 7 zeros. 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. Okay. Now, for the projected annual turnover of XYZ Private Limited is 1 crore for upcoming financial year. If the bank applies a turnover based percentage of 30% to determine MPBF, okay, maximum permissible bank finance, then what is the required working capital? See, here bank didn't up 1 minute. Let me zoom this so that you can get it. See, percentage applied here is 30%. Okay, 30% require working capital. See, turnover into percentage. Why? Because in NAYAK committee it was 25%, but what the bank is applying? Bank is applying 30%. Okay, for the 1 crore 30% will come out to be 30 lakhs. Okay, this is the working capital requirement. The, this was just this question was just put for here because you shouldn't think that only 25% is there. It is up to the bank what bank is thinking. If it is the percentage rule applied is 30%, then 30% will be the working capital. What was in NAYAK committee? NAYAK committee was working on only 25% of the projected annual turnover. What about margin? Nothing about margin is written, so we cannot tell anything. Why? Because in NAYAK committee it is clearly mentioned that the 5% of will be the margin as contributed by the borrower. But in this question it has taken the 30%, but it didn't say anything about the margin, so we can't say anything about margin. Now next question, if company ABC anticipates an annual turnover of rupees 15 crore. No, it is 1 crore 50 lakhs. A company ABC anticipates an annual turnover of rupees 1 crore 50 lakhs means 1.5 crores. Okay. The company is expecting that 1.5 crores will be its projected annual turnover. But here it is applying that the bank decides to apply only 20% criteria because in NAYAK committee it was 25%. In earlier question we have applied 30%, but here it is showing that it applies 20%. 20% means 1 by 5. 1 by 5 means 0.3 crores. Okay, 0.3 crores will be 3 lakhs. 0.3 into 100, 30 lakhs. Okay, will be the working capital. Okay, next new question. A manufacturing company estimates annual turnover to be this amount. The bank uses turnover based percentage. Here is the 35%. You will calculate 35% of the this 35 into this divided by 100. Okay, it will come out to this. See, 25% just to say that NAYAK committee applied that 25%, but it is up to you what percentage you are applying. Okay. Now it seems the last question. If a business forecast an annual turnover of 80 lakhs and the bank applies a turnover based percentage of 25%. See, turnover based percentage of 25% is none other than NAYAK committee. Okay, because NAYAK committee says 25% of projected annual turnover. Projected annual turnover is 8123123. into 25 by 100. Okay, 25 by 100, you know 1 by 4 is there. 1 by 4, if it will be there, it will be 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. It will be the working capital of this. Now, what will be the bank finance? As per NAYAK committee, bank finance will be only 20%. NAYAK committee says only 20% of the annual turnover will be the bank finance. 5% of that annual turnover will be the margin as contributed by the borrower. Now, 20% of 20% into 8, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay, this 20% is actually 1 by 5. When it is 1 by 5, it is 18 by 5 and it is 16. The 16, 2 and 3. This will be what? This will be the working capital finance as available from bank. Okay, it will be the bank finance. Okay, now the 5% of this, that is 1 by 20. 1 by 20 means 4, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. This amount will be the margin as contributed by the borrower. Hope you know the rest question is for you, and in the next video we will be discussing about Tandon committee method. Here I will stop, and if you need the PDF, you should comment in the box and do the needful. All persons who are enrolled in the paid group, and uh, due to some there is a closing March, I am also busy. uh, Further, some technical issues there. The 4 or 5 lectures will be shared over the YouTube. It is advised that you follow the YouTube and study this. If any questions or queries arises, you can text me or WhatsApp me over the quoted number. Thank you all. Thank you. Rest we will be discussing about Tandon committee in the next video.